Get ready for some action, because today we're going to demolish 5 of the most annoying cliches in the genre. By the way, my name is Brandon McNulty, I'm the author of The Half Murders, and welcome to my writing channel. Nothing engages an audience like meaningful, well-crafted action sequences. But sometimes even the best action-oriented stories stumble into tired, annoying cliches. Today I'll be discussing 5 of these, I'll explain what they are, why you should avoid them, and I'll give you an example of each. Here's your spoiler warning for today. The ones in red contain the heaviest spoilers. First cliche that I hate is absurd accuracy. This is when heroes shoot enemies and rarely ever miss. Regular people shoot like legendary gunslingers, and things like headshots and bullseyes come easily. And it all comes off feeling cartoonish, it hurts the story's realism. For an example, let's look at The Walking Dead. This is of course set during the zombie apocalypse, and the way to kill zombies in this world is by destroying their brains. That means that if you have a gun, you should be aiming for their heads. Now, aiming for the head and landing a perfect headshot are 2 different things, or at least they should be 2 different things in theory, but that's not the case in The Walking Dead. Everyone in this show is like Dirty Harry. It doesn't matter if characters are on the run, or how desperate the situation is, or how far away the zombies are. Whenever someone pulls the trigger, it's headshot, headshot, headshot. And this gets laughable after a while. You see like 29 bullseyes in a row and you start thinking, when are they gonna miss? Can they miss? And since the noise is what attracts zombies, you would think that people would start feeling the pressure and have some occasional misfires, but no. Mistakes only happen when the plot absolutely needs them to. Second cliche that I hate, meaningless mass destruction. This is when a story world suffers significant damage, but the actual consequences are underwhelming. In the aftermath of the event, the story might ignore attention to detail, or character reactions may be inadequate. Either way, it's a crime against world building. For an example, let's look at season 6 of 24. This is widely considered to be the worst season of 24, but the first few episodes are actually great. After being held prisoner overseas, Jack Bauer returns to American soil and hunts down terrorists who are planning to detonate a nuke near Los Angeles. At the end of the 4th episode, a team of federal agents locates one of the nukes in the town of Valencia, which is about 30 miles northwest of LA. The agents attempt to secure the nuke, but in shocking fashion, a terrorist detonates the weapon and blasts the town of Valencia off the map. This is a bold move on the part of the storytellers, and in the immediate aftermath, characters react appropriately to the damage. The country's leaders are stunned, Jack is devastated, and locals start evacuating. It feels like a major moment. But just hours later, the damage gets largely forgotten. Jack and his colleagues begin searching for the other remaining nukes, and it feels like just another hectic day in Los Angeles, which doesn't ring true. I mean, given that a nuke has been detonated on American soil, you would expect people in the surrounding area to panic, flood the city of LA, and cause all sorts of chaos over the remaining 20 episodes. But instead, things stay pretty tame, and within a few hours, the world of 24 goes back to normal. Third cliche that I hate, shoehorned stunts. This is when a character solves a problem by performing a ridiculous stunt. Oftentimes it's a case of forcing a character to use a special skill, and it ignores more practical alternatives like taking a simple action or running away or whatever it may be. The real problem here is that the writers prioritize style over storytelling, and this can break the story's realism. It can make a serious situation look silly. For an example, let's look at The Lost World. This is the Jurassic Park sequel where Ian Malcolm rushes out to a dinosaur-infested island in hopes of finding his girlfriend Sarah. Now, before Ian departs for the island, we meet his daughter Kelly, and she mentions that she was recently cut from her school's gymnastics team. This is an important detail, so don't forget it. Anyway, toward the end of the movie, Ian, Sarah, and Kelly are running for their lives, trying to escape a pack of raptors. Sarah and Kelly take shelter in an abandoned building, but a raptor starts clawing its way in, forcing the girls to climb up to the 2nd level. Ian arrives shortly after and finds himself in immediate danger. He has to seek higher ground, and that's when Kelly decides to practice her gymnastics. She starts warming up while the raptor leaps onto the 2nd floor and corners her father. Then this happens.
Hey, you!
Everything about this scene is ridiculous. The setup, the payoff, the fact that she even starts her routine before the raptor is within striking distance. I mean, how did this make sense to the writing staff? Ultimately, everything here feels forced and impractical, and it's hard to take the raptors seriously after seeing one get destroyed by a 12-year-old. Fourth cliche that I hate, goofy explosions. And these are, of course, over-the-top explosions. They're often unnecessary and or unrealistic, and they can disrupt the emotion in an otherwise tense scene. For example, let's look at get young and dangerous too. If you're not familiar with these movies, they're gangster films set in Hong Kong, and they're absolutely wild. I was hooked when the main character strangled somebody with a hairdryer, and from there it just got more and more insane. Anyway, in the first movie, the main character Nam starts dating this girl Smarty, and then in the second one, she pesters him about getting married. Nam plays it cool, and after parking his car, he shows her a receipt for an engagement ring he just bought her. He tells her that he hid it somewhere in the car, and if she can find it, they'll get married. It's a fun little scene, and she starts searching around while he runs into 7-Eleven, and then right after she finds the ring, one of Nam's enemies slams a truck into his car, causing it to flip over with Smarty inside. Nam then has to pull her from the wreckage, and right after they escape, the car explodes in ridiculous fashion. And I know this happens in a million different movies, but the problem here is that the explosion undermines the real emotion in this scene. The only fireworks we need are the reactions from the characters. Seeing how a tough guy like Nam reacts to what happens to his girlfriend, that's what creates impact. And tacking on some special effects at the end, it only takes away from that. Finally, the fifth cliche that I hate is inconsistent damage. This is when the story establishes how much damage something can do, then the damage varies significantly depending on the situation. Oftentimes it's a case of plot armor, and the story can feel like it's cheating when it's bailing the heroes out of trouble. I've got two examples for this. Let's start with John Wick Chapter 4. In this movie, John has to fight enemies who are dressed in special armor. When he shoots them in the head, his bullets only stagger the guys, and this establishes the strength of their armor. We know that the helmets are strong enough to stop a bullet. But then things get silly. After running out of ammo, John throws his gun at the guy, and boom, the guy reacts like he's been hit by a missile. I mean, just look at that. Look at the difference between getting hit with a bullet versus getting hit with the gun that fired. Now, I don't get shot in the head very often, but I would expect the bullet to have more stopping power than an empty gun. Later on in the same scene, John grabs a pair of wooden nunchucks and starts beating up guys who forgot to wear their helmets. That much is okay, but then 3 more armored soldiers show up. We see that their helmets can stop rifle rounds, but guess what? A strike from the nunchucks drops these guys to the floor. Things like this take me right out of a story. If characters are using weapons and armor, there has to be a certain level of common sense and consistency involved. Establish the basic damage output and stick to it. Before we wrap up this video, I want to give you one more example, and this one's been bothering me for years. It's from the Alien franchise. Now, I'm sure many of you remember the scene from the first movie where they try removing the facehugger from Kane's head. They cut into the creature and it bleeds acid, and that acid leaks out and burns through multiple floors of the ship. This scene is unique, it's terrifying, I love it. But at the end of the movie, the rules change when Ripley shoots the adult alien with a harpoon. Blood squirts out, but there's no damage to the ship. What's even worse is that the harpoon remains stuck inside the alien, and the creature dangles from the harpoon for some time before she blasts it into space. Then in the sequel, blood constantly gets sprayed everywhere. Sometimes it'll melt your face off, other times it'll cause minor burns to your arm, then there are times when it might not even damage the surrounding environment at all. There's just a ton of inconsistency with the acid blood, and it's a shame because I love the concept so much. It could have forced characters to handle things more carefully or strategically, but in the end, it's only dangerous when the writers want it to be. So I hope this helps. Question of the day, what is your most hated action cliche? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, please pick up a copy of any one of my books and be sure to leave reviews on Amazon. If you like horror stories, you'll love The Half Murders. It's about a woman and her daughter who go into a haunted house and they get chopped in half, and for them, the nightmare is only beginning. Also, be sure to check out my other videos, like, share, and subscribe, and as always, remember to keep on writing.